Hey guys, so welcome back to Indirect Knowledge. So tonight we have a very special tarot card reading, and this is for Anastasia. So just to give you guys a little background on everything and to kind of put things into perspective, Anastasia, she's got feelings for a guy, and they have a bit of a relationship, but it's kind of a long distance thing right now. He's in a different state, and he keeps alluding to this fact that they will be together soon, but as of yet, they haven't really been able to connect too much. And he keeps on kind of saying this over the phone, but as we all know, actions speak louder than words, and sometimes it just gives us a false sense of hope. When someone makes a promise to us or something, and then the more time that goes by, well, the greater the sense of disappointment or the greater the yearning. So it kind of reminds me of a story. Just off the bat, there was a story. It's a spiritual story. So if you're not really into that kind of thing, just ignore it, I guess, or just enjoy the narrative itself. And basically, and I'm just paraphrasing it here, just to kind of give you, for brevity's sake, but there was Krishna, and then there was Srimati Radharani. This is Krishna's consort or lover. So you can look at it from this. So you have character 1 and character 2 in this story. So Krishna, of course, he was beloved by everyone. Everyone loved him. And when people weren't in his presence, they wanted to be in his presence. So as you can imagine, it would be almost like, it'd be like an emperor or a king or, someone in government that everybody just absolutely loved and wanted to be around 24/7, all the time. This was the person, and, just everybody really looked up to this person and really had a lot of admiration for this person. And as you might imagine, if everyone feels that way, it's very, very easy to sometimes feel like you don't matter in that person's life, because everyone wants to be with this person, and you're just one person out of many. But here's the situation with this story. See, Krishna, that was the case, he wanted to be with everyone, and everyone wanted to be with him. But Srimati Radharani, Radha, for short, if she wasn't in his presence, she was weeping and crying and lamenting and just, very, very sad, that she wasn't with him. And so, if she wasn't happy, people would become very sad around her because they knew how much she loved him and how much she yearned to be with him. And what would happen is Krishna would sometimes play these little games or these little tricks and what have you, or, be in the presence of other people just, for whatever reasons. But, sometimes he just, it's not that he tested her love or anything, but it was kind of just like, he would leave kind of with this promise of like, I'll be back, and how many times do we hear that kind of thing, I'll be back. Don't worry. So anyway, Krishna, he goes off, and she would become very, very upset. And literally, he meant so much to this location, to the people and everything in this area that, everyone would be very, very sad. And the whole region would just kind of dry up and die. Everyone was so sad. And so that's the kind of impact that Krishna had. So, to get on with the story here, there was a situation where Krishna just wanted to see kind of what was going on. So, he manifested himself into this form of this bumblebee, and he would, and he went to go kind of spy on like what was going on, before he decided to manifest himself back again, in his Krishna form. So the, obviously he saw like how sad Srimati Radharani was, and how much she yearned to be with Krishna, and this, that, and the other. So, but I'll stop the story here, just to get on with the reading and to get on with the whole point of what we're doing. But you see, whenever Krishna would be in the presence of others, people just wanted to do all these really nice things for Krishna. Everyone. I mean, it wasn't just Srimati Radharani, but it was just literally everyone. That was really the thing to do, because people just worship the ground that Krishna walked on. Krishna was just so benevolent, so loving, so caring, so playful, so enjoyable, kind of like the person that everyone wants to be around. He was the star of the show. That nothing else really mattered to anyone else. So they delighted in serving Krishna and helping him and doing nice things for him, all these kind of things. As did Srimati Radharani. She would cook. She would do all these nice things for Krishna. And just whatever Krishna wanted, she would manage whatever needed to be done in order to ensure his utmost pleasure, his utmost happiness, and everything on that end. So the reason that I tell this story is because it's a very, we can look at it very objectively. We don't have to look at it in the confines of spirituality or, looking at it as the archetype Krishna being God or Radharani being like, the divine goddess, anything like that. It doesn't have to be looked at from that vantage point to really, gain some kind of insight from the story. What we can look at it from is just say that, when it comes to loving other people and it comes to serving other people, sometimes they say that, what does the adage go? Like, distance makes the heart grow fonder or something like that. And basically what it means is that, when we're away from the object of our affection, the one we really love, it's almost like we become mad for that person, that we can't think of anything else, that the only thing we can think of is that person. And usually that is a litmus test that really, and in most cases, if you look throughout history, if you look through all the different literature and you look through the stories, historically speaking, and so on and so forth, we see that in most every instance, with few exceptions, that love usually conquers. It conquers rationality. It conquers, just your day-to-day consciousness. There's something about it. There's something about this divine love, this divine action that we take in serving the object of our affection, those that we love, those that we are committed to, that nothing else matters. And that's where I was kind of going at with the story in that. So like in this particular case, we have Anastasia. She's kind of in this, if we want to kind of put it in kind of this parallel type situation, she's kind of this Radharani character in a lot of ways. She is yearning for this person in her life. She very much deeply cares about and loves. And, even Srimati Radharani, she would get upset with Krishna because he would be gone for so long, and when she would see him, though she loved him and wanted to be with him and everything like that, sometimes she would have to kind of, set him straight, and that's just kind of like, have that conversation with him about, hey, don't be doing this to me, please, don't do this. And so that was kind of the way that this thing would kind of go down. So that's kind of where we're at with this. So we have to look at things in terms of the proper context, in terms of, when I'm doing this tarot card reading for Anastasia, I'm doing it, from this vantage point. And what we have to understand before we even get into the tarot card reading is that, just in terms of probability, and we can look at it rationally, even though we're rationalizing irrationality, if that makes sense. Love normally does conquer, everything. I mean, it's normally the whole of our existence here. So we can be so caught up in day-to-day material life that, we think that this body or, these objects, whatever, are very important. We can get caught up in this kind of stuff. We can get caught up in a job. We can get caught up in saving money for retirement, or, whatever your lofty goal is. It's usually got something, honestly, that's usually has something to do with materialism or the future. And the future, that's, to get it grounded in safety and security in that. And the real reality is that, we can plan and do the best planning that we can do and still fail miserably in so many areas of our life, But if it gives us a sense of grounding, a sense of security, a security blanket, if you will, then, sometimes maybe it's more worth it. I got this little thing little fur ball or something. But anyway, so that's that. When we have love, there is this natural reaction to that love that causes us to want to do things for others that we love. Nice things. It could be buying something for this person. It could be doing something for this person. So, you name it. It could just being in this person's association, in their company, sharing this person with other people, getting to know this person better, understanding them, getting to the heart of the matter, having deeper conversations with someone. And as we do that, the relationship builds and it grows and it continues and it moves forward. And, in time, we become married to that person, if not literally, at least married spiritually in some way. A reason being is because we can't think of ever being with anyone else other than this person. So it's really kind of one of those situations where we are in control of our own connection with that person, defined by the actions that we perform. The actions being those things that we do nice for this person, the time that we make for this person. It could be as simple as, making an apple pie for this person if they like apple pie. I'm just using that as an example. It could be as, sending flowers to someone that you care deeply about, that that they like flowers. But it's knowing what they like and then, moving in that direction. It's not just doing nice things to do nice things. If the person doesn't like flowers, but you like to send flowers, you think sending flowers would be nice. That's nice and all, but it's not really showing that you care enough to really get to know this person. So the idea here is to really understand the other person and what they really like, what their needs are, what their enjoyment is. And it really is different for different people. What you like, and you sometimes maybe, in your mind that other people may like the same things. If there's a particular color that you like or something like that, you might want to share that color with other people, but maybe they don't like that color. Maybe they would prefer a different color. The only way to know that is to really get to know the other person. And I'm not just talking colors and what's your favorite color, these kind of things. I'm talking about everything, everything to do with the relationship, everything to do with the person. What makes them tick? What is it that they're really desiring? And how can you fulfill that need? And this applies to so much. Like in life, it's not just about, romantic relationships. It can also be about platonic relationships. It could be about professional relationships. For example, if you're in sales, knowing what your client really desires, then if you can fill that need and do it from a place from the heart, and that person feels that love, then they will trust you and they will want to do business with you and help you out. Whereas, if that's not part of the equation, yeah, you may say all the right things, do all the nice things, but at the end of the day, they're not going to feel that bond there. And so that's love from a spiritual monk perspective, if you will. I give that to you. So there's some things to glean, some lessons to learn from that. And it's just some little things, but the little things are the things that sometimes get overlooked, missed. Let's do the tarot card reading. So for this tarot card reading, like I said, this is to really find out like what's really going on his side. Like, what is he feeling? What is he thinking? Is he just giving platitudes here? Is he being very sincere and how he's communicating? Does he really mean that he's going to be with her soon? Or is he just saying that, because he's holding on to this idea that it could happen, but maybe he's not 100% sure? Is it just that he's telling her what she wants to hear? Sometimes people do that because they don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. There may be some kind of meaning behind that, or maybe a reason behind it, I should say. And normally that reason is probably with a good intention, So even so, and that's sort of what I pick up with this kind of situation. I personally feel, and this is before even doing the tarot card reading, that, he's a genuinely nice person. He cares a great deal about you, Anastasia. But that, he's just working and trying to get things together and stuff. So he's in a better place, just so he has his own sense of security, safety. And once he feels safe and secure and stuff, then he can start to really think about involving someone else in his life and putting someone else first in that. So that's really what I'm picking up. But let's see what the cards really have to say, and we'll see where things continue to go. So I'm gonna cut these cards. We'll do a 7-card reading here. This is very interesting. So in the past we have this 4 of Pentacles. 4 of Pentacles is often referred to as the miser card. This is a person that fears lack and limitation, and so they hold on to everything they've got for dear life. Not necessarily for dear life, but they hold on to it because they're afraid if they let it go, if they spend the money, if they, let down their guard, that, maybe that safety blanket, that sense of security they have is going to be taken out from underneath them. And so maybe in the past, this is what I'm kind of picking up as maybe it's just that, you kind of went after things and you try to build a sense of security around your life. And then, you just didn't want to necessarily let people in as much. And maybe you just wanted to kind of get yourself set up in a good position. So maybe you just, this, sometimes when this card comes up, it's where our generosity is kind of, come to a standstill. And it's not that we're not a generous person by nature. It's not a judgment or anything. It just means that in this particular moment, in this particular time, in the near past, it was sort of I just better hold on to what I got. I better not be spending money, irrationally. I mean, the future, who knows what it's going to have. I better just keep myself in a good situation. I'd like to help other people out, but I better not do that right now. In the present moment, where we're at right now, we have the 7 of Swords. And of course, 7s are really, it's a spiritual number. It's kind of the stepping away or stepping out of our situation. And being able to kind of reflect on it, to be able to, it's almost like looking at it from a meta level. So you can see yourself, you can visualize yourself, seeing yourself doing something or having this situation. It's kind of in our mind, we can use our mind to envision something, our situation. And that's what this card's really all about. It's about this envisioning our situation for what it is. So it's kind of like that mental image inside our mind about how we would like something to play out. And that's kind of where we're at with it. In this case, it's a relationship. What is it that you would really like from the relationship? How would you like to see the relationship, unfold and develop? And, sometimes, you have to kind of get away, kind of go it alone a little bit in order to let that happen. And so right now, this time that you guys are apart is a perfect opportunity for that. And that's kind of what we're seeing going on with everything. You're kind of looking at things and just seeing in your mind, okay, if this is going to be, how is it going to be? What, what's going to become of this, is it going to be a good experience, a negative experience, a neutral experience? I mean, what, we're trying to get some meaning, derive some understanding from it. Next, we have the near future. And guys, I'm calibrated to about 3 months out, depending on the seriousness of the card. And right now I'm picking up about 2 months for this particular card. I can kind of pinpoint more of a precise date, but about 2 months out, we have this card. I'm picking up 2 for it. It could be 2 weeks or 2 months, but I'm kind of feeling 2 months with this. But this is the 3 of Swords. And with the 3 of Swords and all, we see this imagery. And it kind of tells us what's going on with it. We see a heart that's been pierced by 3 swords. There's rain and clouds and wind and everything going on. Excuse me. And, it just looks like heartache, right? It looks like it's just a matter of the heart. Can't really get a grip on things. Not really getting exactly what we want from the relationship. Sometimes this is also known as a betrayal card. We feel a sense of betrayal. Remember, these emotions, these things that we're feeling them in our mind, in our heart, we're feeling them in our being. It's not that what we see on the outside is actually unfolding or justified or anything. It's really what we're seeing on the kind of the mind, like the wall of the mind is what we're actually seeing with this. So it's sort of like these emotions and things, they're very real. I mean, they hurt, it's painful. This card here is that sense of pain, or that sense of like, I'm not getting what I want. Something's keeping me from my desired end. And it's kind of that same experience that Radharani has with Krishna, and Krishna is just nowhere to be found. She's feeling that pain, and that's what she's feeling. It's almost a sense of betrayal. Now, in this particular case, with this particular guy, I'm not picking up that, cheating or anything like that. Oftentimes when this card comes up in a tarot spread, it does kind of resemble that, but I'm not picking that up. What I am picking up is it's just that, unfortunately, like we would like this person to be with us sooner rather than later, but I'm not really picking that up. I'm not picking up that that's going to materialize quite the way or quite as fast as we would like it to materialize. And when that's the case, it's that same feeling of like, why me? Why can't we be together? Like, why is this not happening? And it's like, and it just causes us to focus and to think about the situation more and more and more. And, we become more obsessed. And that obsession is like this obsessive love that we have for this person. But yet it's also this obsessive pain that we're feeling as a result of this absence that's going on. And then we start to feel a sense of like resentment and these other emotional things that start to happen. So it's a combination of all these mixed emotions. One is true love. One is a sense of resentment and stuff like that, which really should never be the case with love. But it's backed up to love with this particular card. And it's also that sense of like just not being able to get what we want in the way that we want it. And it's always that sense of like, it's that yearning, and it can be very painful. And it's that narrow focus that we're going through, that we're feeling inside of us, that we're just so focused on this that we can't really think about anything else. So it's at the exclusion of everything else that we just really can't focus. And that's about 2 months out. So, and there's some really good things, and we'll talk about the past, present, and future here in a moment, kind of like what kind of a good result we can get from this. Now, moving forward a little bit, the next card that we have is the Magician. Now, this is the number 1 or the first Roman numeral of the major arcana. And the Magician is a symbol for resources. Magicians, they have all these different resources. They have tricks up their sleeve that nobody else knows about. And in this particular case, we see the infinity sign, which is very symbolic of forever, which is also oftentimes when this card comes up in a love reading, something along this line, it really does denote a soulmate type personality. And that's really what's going on with this. Is like in this here particular situation, we've found our soulmate. We found the person that we say yes to, that we want to be with, that we've made this decision mentally and internally, and this is it. This is the person. And once we've come to that conclusion and we've decided that, this magician here says, okay, you know what? You've got these resources. Even though you may not be getting what you want, you may be only thinking about this person, this, that, and the other. Hey, it's okay. Just calm down a minute. You've got resources. And the way that we know this in this card is because if we look, we have the pentacle, the cup, the wand, the sword on the table, another wand right here. But we have all of these resources. It's basically everything that the tarot is comprised of. It's the mind, emotion, the material, and the actions, the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. All of these things make up this. So that's what's going on, like as we kind of walk away and just kind of do that double take, basically for this card here, we were talking about this is the present moment. This card right here is really working with this card to say, hey, look, I've got resources. I don't have to be afraid. I know that things are going to be okay. I can, put myself in a better situation. I can make things happen by using all of these different resources, these aspects of who I am, my mind, my emotions, my actions, my financial and material resources, all of these kind of things. I can use all of these things to my advantage in order to create what I want. So that brings us hope in the present moment. Now, let's look at kind of where Anastasia is with all of this, with the relationship and everything else. And really the card is this High Priestess. The High Priestess is really, in the tarot, the High Priestess, and we had the Magician as number one, High Priestess is number two. She's the next person that we really come to in the Major Arcana for advice and for help. And this help and the advice that she gives us is to trust yourself, to trust your intuition. She doesn't say much, but what she does say speaks volumes. She's that person that if you go and they give you like a little parable or something like that, it stays in your mind and it just kind of keeps on gnawing away at you until one day the light bulb goes off and you're like, oh, okay, that's what I needed to learn. That's what this person was trying to teach me. It's just like Jesus in the parables. It had so many great parables, and but it would cause you to kind of think and like, well, wait a minute, what's really the message that I'm trying to get from this? Because of the way the parables were spoken and relayed, it was a great way of delivering a message that really stayed in the mind of the person. And that's what the High Priestess is really good at. She doesn't say much, but she's very spiritual, very hypnotizing, very below the radar in terms of how she communicates. But what she does say to us is, trust yourself, trust your inner voice, trust that inner voice inside your mind. And it's not going to lead you astray. Things are going to work out for you. But you need to trust that everything will. And so that's really where it is. So Anastasia is probably in the sense of like, I know things are going to work out, but, and there's always that but. And here's the thing, everything, if you guys want to look at addition and subtraction in language, I'll teach it to you right now. So if you take the word but and replace it with the word and, you've just, instead of subtraction, you're now adding. And sometimes that's really beneficial. I'll give you an example. So if we go back to what I just said, Anastasia knows that things are going to work out. She knows that she needs to trust herself, and she knows that this is all going to work out. But instead of saying but, we change that and say the word and. We say, and she also now knows that she has all the tools and the resources to be able to make that happen, and she's going to. And that's exactly how this whole thing is going to unfold for her. See what we just did there? So if you hear somebody say but, here's the thing. When somebody's talking and then the word but comes up, and then the people only remember what comes after the but. Every good thing that you said before but goes out the window. Everything that goes on after the word but stays remembered. Remember that. It's very, very important. So if you're, if I don't know if you're at work and you've asked your boss for a raise and the boss says, oh, I'd love to give you a raise. Yeah, you're so deserving of a raise. You're like one of the greatest people I've ever met. You're the best employee. You're so deserving, but it's just really not in the budget right now to be able to do that. But we'll see what we can do later on. But right now it's just, bad timing. But maybe one day. So now what do you think? All those nice things, right? Those forgotten. The only thing we're remembering is this rejection. So normally what comes after but is a rejection, or it's some kind of a bad news, or it's sort of that like, well, we could do this, but maybe we shouldn't. So it gets away hope. So if we replace that with and, it's a lot better. So I hope that helps you a little bit. We're going to use and in this because I like positivity and I like to add instead of subtract. And that's what I'm feeling for this tarot reading. And so that's the way I'm kind of doing it. Let's look at the outcome. So now we've come to the last third of this tarot card reading. And what we have is for the outcome is the Page of Cups. The pages are messengers, right? They give us messages. And the message that this particular page gives us is one of relationships and also one of emotions and also one of intuition and trusting ourselves. We see the water. The water is really representative of the unconscious. And so it's a lot of things that are going on behind the veil of our conscious mind. We see the cup, and the cup is a symbol of like relationships. And it's like, in this particular case, it's that relationship that Anastasia has with this other person. And so, Anastasia is holding the cup. She holds the relationship in her hand. And that's really the message that this page is giving. And the fish, of course, is also symbolic of water, which is also the unconscious. So, sometimes it's okay to be unconscious in a relationship, to not necessarily be so focused or so consciously there, but to just trust and to know that things are going to work out and that things are going to get good. And that eventually, if we hold out, everything will materialize exactly the way that we had hoped it would. And so how do we get that outcome? How do we get what we want? Well, the answer card is here. This is the Queen of Swords. Now, if you look back on this tarot card reading, we had a couple of different things going on. We had, for our answer, we had the cup, or not the answer, but the outcome card here. This was a cup. It was a relationship, a message about the relationship being good, like as far as our intuition and everything goes about it. We've had the Magician, which had all of the different symbology of the tarot. We had the cups, the pentacles, the swords, and the wands. And then we see a lot of things with swords. We had that Three of Swords, which is kind of the heartbreak card often. But it's really this heartbreak that comes with just not getting what we want in this particular case. And then we had the Seven of Swords, which is very spiritual. It's kind of like stepping away from things so that we can kind of more make sense of things. And, that's what we're kind of doing right now. Now, the answer to getting this relationship and coming up with the outcome and stuff that we really truly want is this Queen of Swords. And queens are really all about influence. What kind of influence? Well, in this case, because she's holding a sword, it tells me that it's all about the mind. So it's influence over the mind. So in order to get what you want, two things. You have to be having influence over your mind. One of my favorite quotes from the Bhagavad Gita is chapter 6, verse 6. For one who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. For one who has failed to do so, the mind will be the greatest enemy. But it's not just about our mind, but it's also conquering or having influence or persuasion over the mind of the object of our affection. So to take things full circle, I have to go back to the narrative that I was sharing before we did the tarot card reading. That was that narrative with Radharani and Krishna. So how did Radharani get what she wanted? How did she influence Krishna to, keep coming back to her? Well, here's a little thing that a lot of people don't know, even a lot of spiritual people. But I'm going to share this little secret with all of you guys watching, and especially with Anastasia. first I'm going to ask a question. Who in this narrative of Radharani and Krishna do you think had more power? Do you think it was Krishna who could make his own mind up and go where he wanted to, transform himself into a bumblebee and do all of these things and be basically emblematic of God? Or do you think it was the person so devoted to him that was doing all these nice things for him, that was constantly thinking about him? That person being Srimati Radharani. Who do you think had more influence, more power, more control? Who do you think would have beat out the other? I think you guys know where I'm going with this. I think you guys know that what I'm about to say, or what the answer is pretty much going to be. It wasn't Krishna, and it only two people in this story. So it had to be Srimati Radharani. She's the one that had all the influence on the power all along. Now, from the outside looking in, and maybe from the beginning of the story, you thought, wow, that Krishna, he's such a character. He's just kind of playing these mind games and stuff. But who had the power over the mind, more so than even Krishna? That was Srimati Radharani. She may be looked at as a secondary character in this narrative, where the main character being Krishna. But she loved Krishna so much. I'm getting goosebumps. She loved Krishna so much that Krishna was powerless against that love. Truly. So I think, at least it's my hope that you're getting some kind of value from this in terms of like how to approach this thing. Here's the thing, Anastasia, you are the one that has the power. The power is in your delivery of love. Delivery, of course, is action. How do you act? How do you materialize the things that you want? Especially if you're the one that has all the resources. You have the financial or the different resources as far as being material needs to be met. You have that. You have the mental wherewithal. You can control things mentally. You can have control of your own mind. You have the power of that. Nobody else does. You have power of your emotions, that emotional makeup. You can control how much you love someone mentally and emotionally. You can control how much you want to do for someone through action. You can control how you use your financial resources to be with someone. I mean, if you truly love someone, is there really a limit to how far you're willing to go? Some people say, yeah, there is a limit. Some people say, well, for me, there is. And maybe it is different for every person what that limit consists of. But, I'm just a simple monk. And I would tell you that, as far as love for God goes, there is no end for me, in terms of what I can do to love and to serve God in that, and I try in every action to perform those actions as sort of an offering to God. And I don't want this to be a spiritual channel. Like, I don't want to overlay spirituality on this channel per se, in terms of doing these tarot card readings with people. But I just thought that with this particular question that we kind of where we were going with this, that I thought maybe it would be a little bit appropriate to share at least this narrative in terms of things, and to kind of come back full circle with it, toward the end here. So I think going back to where you're at with that High Priestess card, she's saying, trust yourself, trust your intuition. It won't lead you wrong. And I think kind of deep down inside yourself that this thing is going to work out and that you can trust this person. But I also think, just kind of, that it's not going to happen immediately. I'm picking up about 4 months from now that things should get to a nice place for you with this relationship. But as far as right now goes, for the next couple of months, I'm not really picking up at this time that it's going to be precisely what you want. And that can cause you to have that yearning, just like Srimati Radharani had for Krishna. And you can look at it as a positive, or you can look at it as a negative. You can choose to see the glass half full or half empty. You could, like some people may say, well, if I can't have what I want, at least the experience of not having what I want forced me or caused me or made me love this person even more. And so I wouldn't trade that experience for anything, because anything I can do to love this person more and more and more and more, is almost better than being with that person one-on-one. And not having that deeper commitment, that deeper level of love. So, but at the end of the day, it really all comes down to choices, and it really all comes down to what we decide. If it's not, if you hold out, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and that you'll get what you want. In the process of that, from a practical perspective, if I was giving you practical advice, if that's what you wanted, I would just say that maybe focus on your job and your career, maybe focus on your resources and building those resources up, because at some point, once you build those resources up, you'll be able to use those resources to more get what you want faster. If you only focus on the relationship at this time, and it's one of those things where you just become so blind to everything else that this is all you can think of, then it will definitely create more love in your heart for this person and more obsession. And just like with Srimati Radharani, it will be one of those kind of love stories that's just, something out of a fable or a fairy tale or something. But like with fairy tales, there's lessons to be learned, and there's choices to be made. Do we go after love alone, letting go of everything else, our thoughts on everything else, or do we say, I'll be a little practical, but at the same time, I'll keep my heart very open and, very much in love with this person, and I'll just continue to pursue this and follow that heart and follow everything. So I think a good path, I think if we want to kind of look at it kind of objectively, kind of like where we're at right now with this particular tarot reading, where that Seven of Swords came up, where we're kind of stepping back to look at things, kind of seeing ourselves, like in our mind, we're seeing ourselves in this situation. So we're kind of looking at it objectively, like, okay, well, if this happens like this, then this will happen. Or no, well, what if this happens and this could happen? So we're kind of playing those kind of back and forth scenarios in our head. But if we see it as like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I could probably, I guess basically what I'm saying is if you know this is going to be kind of a long time thing, he may be promising tomorrow, but let's just be honest. I think right now, at least I'm picking up, is it's going to be a little while. I mean, it's, and, for a couple of months, I mean, probably not so much in the picture too much. So if we know that going in, and if we're able to kind of like keep our emotions in check for a little bit, we can at least start to focus on building up our resources so that when this person is in our life, we're in a better situation, they're in a better situation. And who knows? I mean, you'll definitely have more options and more choices when you are together, even though it may be a little bit further down the line. And then you can also nurse a relationship as well. So you don't want to be like, you don't want to get so caught up in material life and, your work and all these kind of things that you go back to where the miser card was, where you're just afraid to let go of anything or afraid to really focus on anything other than, getting yourself in a good situation. You want to kind of keep a balance. One side of the coin is on love and emotions and what you can do for this person, how you can have this person in your life, given the circumstances and the situation and the resources at your disposal now. And then the other side of the coin is really about, okay, building up a sense of security, a security blanket, getting our work underway, figuring out what we need to do, and, moving life forward in that way. Of course, spiritually and stuff, whatever that has for you. Looking at life kind of holistically is a good way of putting it. And I think if you can do that, then you'll be very satisfied. but at the same time, still have a really nice experience of love that you can cherish and hold on to, And I do see this working out for you, but it will take a little bit of time for that to take place. But anyways, I hope that this has been helpful to you, and not too over the top spiritual. Like I said, I try to keep this channel pretty objective for people, because we get people from many different walks of life, many religions, many situations, and far be it from me to put anything on anyone. That's not really the purpose of this channel. It's more to help people with this particular service, being tarot card readings and just what I pick up intuitively. But yeah, that's pretty much what I pick up intuitively. So if you need anything, of course, reach out to me. I'm always here for you. As your tarot coach, I'm always here for you. So never hesitate. Don't feel like I don't want to bug him, or I don't want to. He's too busy, or this, that, and the other. Look, I'm a monk. It's what I do. So I love helping people. I love serving, and so it's never, an inconvenience. It's never an imposition. So don't feel that way, please. And that goes for everyone watching. Guys, if you'd like to support this channel or help out in any way, you're welcome to do that. You can go to helpbydonating.com. The monies and stuff received, as far as donations and everything go, it goes to help the monks, with basic maintenance and things. We take a vow of poverty, but sometimes, we may need to get like an Amtrak or something to travel to a different monastery or different ashram or something. Sometimes we just may need some basic things like gasoline and an automobile so that we can get from point A to point B. And goodness knows the price of gas nowadays. Won't go there. And, it could just be little things in general. Recently it's been like the security of things through vandalism and some other things that happened. And also it created a need for us to get an alarm system and stuff. And then it was also some things to put a room together and stuff like that for a small monk room, which we talked about that for like visitors or anything. They can use this room to sleep in and to pray and to meditate and reflect and do yoga, any of those kind of things. And so that was something that was really important to us to try to achieve and get together and put forward. We have a beautiful park next door and stuff, and sometimes we'd like to do we call it like lunches for people and stuff. So we put together food and present that nicely and give it away. Sometimes, like today, it could be working in a food pantry or working at a food bank or working out of a shelter, like in a soup kitchen type environment where we're actually preparing food for people. It could be spiritual counseling. It could be so many different things, but sometimes, some resources are required, So that's, that's part of all of this. And so whatever you donate does help, and so we thank you for those donations, and that's how we get on. That's, pretty much how we survive. So, yeah, if you, have the resources and you want to help, please do. Just go to helpbydonating.com. You can give whatever's in your heart. That's the only requirement, is you must do it from the heart. We don't want anything out of resentment or obligation or anything like that. And then finally, the last bit is, if you'd be so kind, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. You can get notifications every time we come online. And if you want to reach out to me in private or something about anything, as a monk, I hold your, privacy in high regard, and what you say stays between just us. It's your right to privacy. So, if you need like spiritual counseling or anything like that, you can reach out to me for that. I'm always here for you. If it's tarot card readings, something that you don't mind being more publicized, but yeah, we can use an alias or something like that. That's always fine. You can reach out to me for that. But all of this information will be in the description below this video. All the email address, the telephone number, donation website, everything will be there. If you'd like to get a copy of the Bhagavad Gita to maybe explore more of the philosophy behind some of, some ancient spiritual traditions and that, it's a very beautiful narrative. If you like the narrative I kind of told earlier and it kind of resonated, you may want to get a Gita. And if you want to do that, you can just go to indirectknowledge.com and give whatever is from the heart, and we can definitely make sure you get a copy. And just provide your mailing address and stuff. Email me. Email will be in the description below this video, and then we can get one shipped off to you. No problem. So, but that's pretty much it. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next episode of Indirect Knowledge. Yay!